Thank you, Madam Chair. We've heard a lot about national security here, and I think it bears repeating that there has not been a single terrorist attack committed on U.S. soil by any national of any of the Muslim ban countries. What we have had are attacks by Saudis, by Pakistanis, by Lebanese, every single case, my colleagues have mentioned, from a country that is not on the list. So the notion that we can trust these other governments to work with us to vet people coming to the United States is obviously preposterous. We've heard a lot about a list that the Obama administration produced a few years ago. Well, actually, Iraq was on that list, and Iraq is not now on the travel ban list for one reason, because influential Iraqis and the Pentagon frantically lobbied the White House at the last minute to take them off. It's not because they are able to work with us to vet travelers somehow better than these other countries. Now let's talk about a country that is on the list, Iran. We don't like the government of Iran. It is an odious dictatorship, but we constantly say that we love the people of Iran, that we are on their side, that we support their human rights. We know that Iran had nothing to do with 9/11. They are actually a sworn enemy of ISIS. And yet it is our national policy to say to the Iranian people, even as we claim to be on their side, that none of them are trustworthy enough to come to the United States unless they can go through this added hoop of proving that denial would cause them undue hardship. And I'm trying to understand this. What I hear from the State Department and from DHS is that we are looking for partners in these governments to help us figure out who can safely come to the United States, that we're working closely with a number of other countries to address our security and information sharing deficiencies, as you said, Mr. Ramatowski. Let me ask you both this question. Are we waiting for a partner in the Iranian government before we allow an Iranian grandmother to come visit her granddaughter in the United States? Is that what we're waiting for?
Congressman, no, we're not. That's why the waiver process and exception process exists in the proclamation.
Well, the Iranians have one of the lowest rates of approval in the waiver process, even when consular officers say they should be allowed in. Let me give you a specific case. Layla Ali Karami, she's a human rights lawyer, Iranian human rights lawyer, director of the Center for Supporters of Human Rights in Iran. She bravely defended Iranian dissidents before the revolutionary courts in that country and was forced into exile. She lives in the United Kingdom. She is subject to the travel ban. She cannot come to New York to lobby the United Nations to pass resolutions condemning Iran. Are we waiting for an Iranian partner, Iranian government partner, to allow her to come to the United States? It's been over a year.
I'll defer to DHS on the requirements, but if her case is pending a security review, we can look into it. I don't have any details on the particular case you raised.
Well, let me ask you this. What specific security checks are conducted on Iranians, Libyans, Syrians, people subject to the travel ban, that we do not conduct on Pakistanis, on Saudis, on Lebanese, on citizens of countries that actually are responsible for 100% of the terrorist attacks that have been committed in this country? What checks are we conducting on these folks that we're not conducting on nationals of those countries? Can anybody answer that?
I can partly answer it, sir. First of all, under the additional executive orders that the President issued requiring enhanced vetting, visa applicants will be checked more closely at the embassy or consulate when they first apply. It might be a further anti-fraud review or some sort of extra analysis done at post. And then if the individual qualified for a waiver, the waiver would be sent in for the interagency review back here. That, up until July of 2019, was a very manual, labor-intensive, time-intensive process with partner agencies. We've automated that now, and that process is also being used for other visa applicants. It makes it significantly safer.
We're subjecting these people from countries that have committed no terrorist attacks in the United States to more onerous vetting and security checks. And on top of that, they have to prove undue hardship in order to get a waiver And if you're from Saudi Arabia, you're from Pakistan, you're from Lebanon, none of that. Explain to me the national security justification for that distinction.
If I can, sir, the security checks that have been referred to are also done on nationals from other countries. It's the same process, and we would need to go into a classified setting to discuss how that process works.
It's the same process. Why have this?
It's the difference between a waiver situation, which I will defer to my colleague from state to explain, and visa process checking.